This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Casey. The time right now is 4:27 here on our Wednesday morning. We have several stories to talk about today before we officially get into the show. So first I want to take you up to Delaware County, where we're talking about students that need to quarantine. More than 200 students we're learning in that school district are now told to quarantine, and that will cause the middle and high schools to go to e-learning for about the next 2 weeks or so during this time. Again, we are tracking several school districts, monitoring those cases of COVID-19, putting those safety protocols into place. So we're going to look at several other districts and what's going on there. But Delaware County, a large number of students now in quarantining, and they will be moving to e-learning. Also want to talk about the practices starting out at the track today. We know the 104th running of the Indy 500 was postponed till late August, and we learned recently that that will be ran without fans at the track. Nevertheless, they are beginning those practices today. The drivers still hoping for a victory there. And so Alyssa Donovan is going to be breaking down what's going on at the track and kind of the schedule for the next 2 weeks or so out at the Speedway. So we'll talk to her, and we'll also get an update from one of the teams from our Brad Brown coming up here in the show. Let's take a turn right now to our Todd Clausen and talk about our forecast for today. Todd, what can we expect for our midweek forecast?
You know, I think you're going to like it, Lauren. Yesterday, the humidity kind of came down towards the evening hours as that front pushed far enough down to the south, and that has set us up for what's going to be a decent day. It's not going to be completely sunny from start to finish, but at least it's going to be fairly comfortable. Temperatures right now, they are sitting in the 60s in most locations, still holding on to a 70-degree temperature there in Bloomington, 61 in Logansport as well as Kokomo, 69 is the current temperature right now in Indianapolis. So it's partly sunny here throughout the day today. Our average high this time of year is 84, so we're right around that number, and it should stay dry. I think we will have that front stay far enough down to the south that we don't have to put that isolated storm in the forecast. So take advantage of today. We'll talk about the rest of the week for you, which I think you're going to like as well, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We want to go to our Rebound Indiana story. We're looking at things that are helping you get out of this pandemic and on the other side. And we're also making sure that there are systems in place and they're working as they should. So our Kara Kenny is looking at why colleges are paying lobbyists to get more COVID-19 aid, why they say you have to spend money to get money in D.C., and even in these troubling times, they are putting their money towards that. So we're going to break that down for you and what that means coming up here on Good Morning Indiana. Plus, we'll have news, weather, and traffic to kick off your Wednesday.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 4:30, more local school districts are trying to find ways to safely return to school. For one district, that means setting up a task force, the challenges they're already facing and how their new system works. Thousands of Hoosiers could be without power as the state's utility moratoriums are set to end this week, while multiple groups say the aid needs to be extended indefinitely. And Joe Biden has picked Senator Kamala Harris to be his vice president. We talked to a political expert about how this decision could impact Hoosier voters and the election. But before we get to our top stories today, I want to thank you for joining our team here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is joining me from home early this morning. Todd, good morning to you. Pretty quiet to start our Wednesday.
Yeah, you know, it's quiet and it's fairly comfortable out there, Lauren, with temperatures that are sitting, for the most part, in the 60s here across central Indiana. Here's a live look outside right now, and you can see not a whole lot, obviously, because it's still dark, but what you can see is the city skyline off in the distance. No visibility problems here this morning as you get going on this Wednesday. 63 in Tipton as well as Peru. 69 is the current temperature in Indianapolis, Bloomington, Bedford. A little warmer, holding on to that 70-degree number. And these temperatures should drop maybe another couple degrees here this morning before they start to climb. As far as the skies go, they're dry. That is the good news, but there is quite a bit of cloud cover, as you can see, across the area. And we're going to be dealing with partly to mostly cloudy skies through most of the day today. So it's not going to be the brightest day for us at all times. Certainly the skies will start to brighten and the clouds will thin at times as temperatures will eventually climb up into the low to mid 80s. So even with more in the way of cloud cover today, temperatures don't really suffer all that much, getting up to those seasonable levels. We'll talk more about that extended forecast for you coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a live look right now at I-69. This is a view near Brooks School Road. You can see everything is traveling up to speed. We did have some construction in the southbound lanes. Neil Meyer marker 207 this morning. That is just wrapped up and all lanes are back open. So it's great news if that's part of your commute this morning to our northeast. Of course, we'll continue to keep a close eye on your roads throughout our morning, and we'll let you know if there are any crashes or trouble spots that you need to avoid. At 4:32, more central Indiana districts are trying to figure out how to deal with COVID-19 cases in schools. At Delaware Community Schools, 228 students have been instructed to quarantine. Superintendent Reese Mann announced that Delta Middle and High School will move to e-learning as a result. That starts today and it runs through August 24th. Elementary schools will continue in-person classes. The district announced on Friday that a football player at the high school tested positive for the virus. That is the only confirmed case at this time. Zionsville Community Schools are holding their second day of in-person classes today, but not all students will be returning this week. 8th graders at Zionsville Middle School will not return until next week because many of them have been exposed to COVID-19 before the school year even started. District leaders are not releasing the details about this possible exposure.
We don't want a child to think that they've caused things for their team or for their cohort of 8th graders. No one child caused anything to happen. This is a global pandemic, and we should handle it as positively and as discreetly as we can.
Well, officials say their COVID task force helped to make this decision. The group formed in March, and it includes 8 district employees who work in central operations, 8 principals in the district, and community volunteers. That includes an immunologist and epidemiologist. Some of the Zionsville parents say that they take comfort in knowing that the team is helping guide them during this difficult process.
Yeah, I think they're doing their best with the information they have. They've got extensive plans. Lots of brains were definitely put together to come up with some good plans.
Well, the superintendent tells us that the experts on the task force do not have kids in the district. They do not know each other. That's to help ensure the group is objective. The group meets regularly and is in constant communication. RTV6 has compiled a list of all central Indiana school districts reported COVID-19 cases, and you can find that database on our website. Just go to theindychannel.com. So Indiana is seeing an increase in daily reported deaths from the virus. The latest numbers from the State Department of Health confirming 25 new deaths. Those happened between July 22nd and yesterday. A total of 2,863 Hoosiers have died from the virus so far. 884 new cases were also reported yesterday, bringing the total number of cases to 75,862 since the start of the pandemic. More than 861,000 people have been tested for the virus so far. More than 1,000 students are now being quarantined in Georgia, and that state just reported a record number of daily deaths from the virus. ABC's Megan Tavrizian has the latest.
This morning, quarantine numbers in one Georgia school district on the rise. More than 1,000 students now forced to stay home after dozens tested positive during the first few days of class. Recent photos show students sitting and walking closely together, even taking part in a fire drill with no social distancing. The decision to reopen classrooms igniting debate across the country. One school district in New Jersey going all remote due to a lack of teachers. 375 teachers now saying they won't return because of COVID fears. The same anxiety felt in Texas.
Please go by science.
Middle school teacher Rebecca Asher quitting at a school board meeting.
I just didn't feel the district had adequate plans to keep both students and teachers safe.
But in this Detroit suburb, where the school district is leaning toward virtual learning, parents are demanding in-person classes.
It's just too hard. It's too hard for adults that understand it and do it daily.
A similar scene in Phoenix, Arizona.
Nobody wants to put anybody at risk here, but we also have to think about the whole health of the child.
In Florida, officials Tuesday reporting the deadliest day yet, with at least 277 virus-related fatalities. Neighboring Georgia also hitting a record. But nationwide, some encouraging news. New COVID infections and deaths are down week over week. And Monday marked the first day since June with no record set.
One more encouraging sign, President Trump's testing czar saying turnaround time for COVID-19 tests have seen significant improvement, estimating 90% of all tests are now being completed within 3 days. Megan Tavrizian, ABC News, San Diego.
It is 4:36. Indiana's moratoriums on utility disconnections ends this Friday, which could leave thousands of Hoosiers without power. RTV6 continues working for you if you're struggling to make those ends meet. The governor's executive order expires this week. The Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission also has its own moratorium that's set to end on Friday. The commission is expected to decide today whether to extend it. It prohibits disconnection of any utility service, including gas, water, sewer, and electric. Groups like the Citizens Action Coalition have filed a motion asking the commission to extend the moratorium indefinitely.
Looking at where COVID numbers are at, looking at the rising number of cases across the state in schools, and looking at continued high unemployment, as well as the expiration of the additional unemployment benefits that expired. The evidence shows that we're still in a health crisis. We're still in an economic crisis, and there's no moral justification for letting that shut-off moratorium expire. In fact, the evidence shows just the opposite.
Some utility companies, including Duke Energy and Citizens Energy, say that they will not voluntarily disconnect customers until after September 1st. They are encouraging customers reach out to them to make those payment arrangements. After months of anticipation, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has selected California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. He made that announcement on Twitter, calling Harris, quote, a fearless fighter for the little guy. 55-year-old Harris is the first black woman to join a major party ticket and the third woman to serve as a VP candidate for a major political party. The two are expected to make their first appearance together in Delaware later today. So how will Harris, as the Democratic vice presidential nominee, impact voters here in Indiana? RTV6 took that question to Aaron Dussault, the department chair for political science at IUPUI.
I would be surprised if it impacted Indiana voters. Hoosiers, I would doubt, would be moved necessarily by picking Harris. I mean, California, it's not a Midwest state, or obviously when you have a former governor on the other ticket, that can raise some, eyebrows, and you can recognize the person.
At an event in Arizona yesterday, Vice President Mike Pence congratulated Harris and said he'll see her in Salt Lake City, where the two are set to share the stage on October 7th for the only scheduled vice presidential debate. With many people still working at home, more companies are considering 4-day work weeks coming up, while the schedule increases productivity and could prevent more layoffs. And today is the first day of practice for the Indy 500. Still ahead, our Brad Brown is checking in with some of the drivers as they prepare for a much different experience this year. Todd.
It should be good on the track, Lauren, for all the drivers here today. Yes, Scott's been...
Welcome back. The time right now is 4:42. Here's a live look at I-70 near the Sam Jones Expressway. Traffic on the west side is traveling up to speed, and especially in this spot, both eastbound and westbound. Not monitoring any crashes or delays for your commute. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads throughout the morning and let you know if there are any areas you need to avoid. Well, new information out this morning in the case of Elijah McClain. The family is now suing the city of Aurora, Colorado for what they say was, quote, unconstitutional conduct in his death. McClain was a 23-year-old black man who died after an altercation with Aurora police. Civil rights lawsuit has 9 claims of relief, including excessive force and denial of equal protection. The family's attorney says they filed the suit to demand justice and, quote, force the city of Aurora to change its long-standing pattern of brutal and racist policing, end quote. The spokesperson for the city said that they couldn't comment on the lawsuit because they hadn't been served. More companies are trying 4-day work weeks during this pandemic. Some are doing it to avoid laying people off. Others say it creates a better work-life balance for the employees at home. Elephant Ventures is a software company that started testing employees working 4 10-hour work days. It's a move to help employee morale and parents dealing with childcare and remote learning. Productivity has also gone up in other countries like Microsoft and Japan, where they tried a 4-day work week last year.
You're not wanting to lose your good workers, or you're wanting to, make sure that they're not looking elsewhere for those places that are hiring. You have to be thinking about, how do I retain my good staff? I don't want to lose them. And flexibility is going to be, I think, a key piece of retaining staff in the future.
ZipRecruiter says it's also seen an increase in job postings advertising a 4-day work week. So one of the biggest COVID unknowns has to do with children and how they pass the virus or show symptoms. Vanderbilt University is leading a study to try and find some more answers. They're also looking at how the virus impacts kids with asthma and allergies. Vanderbilt is sending families at-home virus testing kits to do this. The families then send back the swabs and blood samples of children and caregivers in the home. Researchers hope this can provide some clarity about conflicting research on children and COVID. You can now add Dr. Pepper to the list of items that you may struggle to find at grocery stores. The brand tweeted that it was seeing a pandemic-induced shortage in stores. According to Dr. Pepper, the shortage affects every flavor. They say they're working with other distribution partners to meet the increased demand, and customers should continue to check the store shelves for their products. At 4:45, let's get a check of our forecast right now with Todd Clausen. Todd, what can we expect for our Wednesday?
You know, it's a pretty decent forecast for us here today, Lauren. There's probably going to be a little more in the way of cloud cover out there than many of you would like in your forecast, but temperatures are going to be seasonable and the humidity levels are going to be in check here throughout the day today. And for the most part, we will remain dry. 69 degrees, that's the current temperature at the airport in Indianapolis. You notice the wind has that northerly wind component. At north-northeast, the winds are light, but that north wind kind of knocked the humidity down a little bit as we went through the day yesterday, so it's a little more comfortable out there. Sunrise officially this morning is at 6:55. Right now we're sitting in the 60s in most locations, a couple 70s there down to the south from Bloomington to Bedford, 66 in Greenfield, 63 is the current temperature in Tipton as well as the Peru area, so very comfortable there in some northern locations. And you can see quite a bit of cloud cover here across the area. Some clearer skies still off towards the east, but we do remain completely dry here for your commute if you do have to head into the office today. As far as rain goes, some showers near Paducah. Some of these showers are going to try to move into southern portions of central Indiana. So if there's any chance of some rain today, it's going to be south of Interstate 70, and it's also going to be just very, very light. And as I go over to TrueCast, I'll show you a few of these showers here trying to sneak in from Bloomington to Seymour there towards the Greensburg area. And that is just about it. So definitely don't bank on a lot in the way of rainfall potential today in southern locations. But if you live in Bedford, Mitchell, over towards the Seymour area, just don't be shocked if you get a quick passing shower. And then as we get into the afternoon hours and the evening hours, I think the clouds will start to move out and skies will actually be a little bit brighter. And that should set us up for a pretty nice evening across the area. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s again, so it's going to be a seasonable day. Our average high is 84 degrees. We'll be right around that number during the 4 or 5 o'clock hour. This evening, temperatures will fall back down into the 70s. Sunset now. This evening is at 8:45 p.m. Should be about 78 degrees there as we approach the 9 o'clock hour. And then as we look ahead to tomorrow, definitely more in the way of sunshine. So your Thursday is going to be a brighter day. Kept the rain out of the forecast on Thursday. That front looks like it should stay far enough down to our south. Temperatures again in the low to mid 80s. And then looking ahead in this forecast, do have to bring the thunderstorms back in on Friday and Saturday. And then as we go into the day on Sunday, a front is going to arrive, and it's going to be a cool front, and that front is going to knock our temperatures down into the 70s as we head into next week. Monday, high of 81, then 76 degrees with plenty of sunshine for your Tuesday. So it's very seasonable the next couple days, then actually trending, Lauren, a little bit below normal with sunshine as we get into the middle of next week.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. This is in the Greenfield area on I-70 where we normally have some scheduled construction. You can see off in the distance, looks like the westbound side of the interstate, we have some flashing lights, some orange lights off in a distance, and that may be construction, but there is also a report of a few slowdowns in this area. Looks like at this spot things are traveling about up to speed, so just keep your eyes on the roads as you travel through this area, both eastbound and westbound this morning on I-70. We'll monitor this spot throughout the morning and let you know if anything gets backed up. So today is opening day for practice at this year's Indy 500. The crews have spent the past couple days getting loaded into Gasoline Alley. A team with one of the shortest drives to IMS is hoping to launch some big success this month, and our Brad Brown takes a closer look.
Ed Carpenter Racing is all set to take flight for this year's Indy 500. Ed unveiled a Space Force wrap on his number 20 car for this year's race. Ready to launch his team's run for a 4th pole position in the 500.
one of the biggest tie-ins between what they're doing with Space Force and our racing program, and why they went the route of standing up a new branch was just to really make a more lean, agile, fast solution to make sure we withhold our advantage in space and carry that forward into the future. And I think that's a great tie-in to IndyCar and what we're all about as well.
Connor Daly's also feeling the need for speed with this year's Indy look. The U.S. Air Force back with Daly for another go, this time on a bright orange number 47 car. It's Daly's 7th 500 entry, his first with ECR.
I have enjoyed working with a variety of people because everyone's got a bit of a different way they like to do things, a bit of a different way that, they like to tune the setup. And I think I've learned from that as well.
The big news in the past couple weeks was the addition of lead engineer Cole Pern to Daly's crew. Pern was crew chief for Martin Truex Jr.'s 2017 NASCAR Cup title, made all the more impressive as a single-car team.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of things are super similar. It's just, obviously the values that you're looking at are way different. Way more downforce, a lot lighter car, all those things. But you're still looking for the same things in terms of handling, and all those type of metrics you kind of study are the same.
Rookie Renus VK rounds out the ECR trio. 3 Chevys set to once again be a force up front on qualifying weekend. ECR has put at least one car on the front row of the 500 in 6 of the past 7 years. That includes Ed's 3 poles. We'll see if they've got the right stuff to do it again this weekend. Brad Brown, RTV 6 Sports.
Brad, thank you. So practice gets underway at 11 o'clock this morning. The same schedule is set for Thursday and Friday. Qualifying for the field of 33 on Saturday starts at 11 a.m. as well. Then on Sunday, the top 9 come back to battle it out for the pole position. Our live trackside coverage gets started today on the news at noon. So a woman in Tennessee was surprised to find her new driver's license picture looked nothing like her. Just after the break, how the DMV accidentally sent one instead with an empty chair. And the city of Indianapolis is getting tougher on businesses not complying with the mask mandate and social distancing guidelines. Coming up all new at 5 o'clock, the new penalties they could face if you don't follow the rules. It's 4:51. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, some people absolutely hate their driver's license photos for various reasons, but a Tennessee woman received hers in the mail recently, and she says it's one she'll never forget. Jade Dodd renewed her license online, and when it arrived, it looked like this. Her photo was an empty chair. The Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security says this is a first. According to a spokesperson, when Jade first got her license a few years ago, an employee accidentally took a picture of an empty chair during the transaction and saved it to her profile.
I wasn't mad. It was just, I don't know. It was fun. It was a funny situation. It kind of lightened the mood up a little bit since everything's been weird.
Well, since she shared it on social media, her friends and even her boss had a good laugh about it. Some are even making memes. Dodd says it's definitely an experience that she will never forget. A little bit insulting, but an empty chair. That's pretty funny, Todd.
I don't know. Not many people like their driver's license pictures anyways. I know I don't like mine.
Yeah.
So, maybe all right. I hope they don't make her wait the 2-hour wait in many of these places to get it redone. All right, outside here today, we're going to be dealing with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Should stay dry. There's only a real small chance of a stray shower in southern locations later on this afternoon. Partly cloudy Thursday, 85 degrees. A little unsettled Friday and Saturday with some storm chances. Then a beautiful stretch of weather will start Sunday afternoon, and that'll take us all the way into the middle of next week with cooler temperatures. Highs by, if not Monday, definitely on Tuesday, as you see, will only be in the mid-70s. The time now is 4:57. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6. Stay with us. We are back in just a couple minutes.